We are through with demand. So now we move to the concept of supply. Now remember, with demand we were focused on consumers. Now with supply we're going to focus on producers. The issue here is that everything is the same. The difference here is just the curves, and wherever we used to have quantity demanded, we will now have what? Quantity supply. And wherever we used to have consumers, we will now have what? Producers. So it goes like this. Supply is the willingness and ability for a producer to sell a quantity of goods at a particular price over a given period of time. You see that these keywords are still in the definition, but we now replace it with what? Producers or suppliers or sellers. Okay, now there is a difference between supply and available stock. Please follow me carefully. There is a difference between supply and available stock. Supply is what has been taken to the market. Supply is what has been taken to the market, while available stock is what the supplier have in the warehouse. For example, I can be a producer of tomatoes, and maybe let's say I went to the farm, I harvested 100 baskets of tomatoes. 100 baskets of tomatoes, let's say on Monday, and on Tuesday I decide to carry 80 baskets to the market. 80 baskets to the market. Now this 80 baskets becomes what? The supply, and this 100 baskets becomes what? The available stock. So as I highlighted, supply is what has been taken to the market, what have been taken to the market. Okay, now supply too can be represented on a table called what? The supply schedule. Some people call it schedule. It depends on the shape of your mouth. The supply schedule. Okay, now what is supply schedule? It is a table. It is a table that shows the various quantities, of goods and services supplied in the market at various prices over a given period of time. And also, there are two types of supply schedule. The first is the individual supply schedule, unlike that of demand too. The individual supply schedule. And also the market supply schedule. The market supply schedule. Okay, now as I earlier said, with the individual supply schedule, it is what a supplier and an individual supplier place in the market, while market supply is the summation of all what the individual supplier, that's all what the individual suppliers will now place in the market. For example, let's say there are 3 suppliers of tomatoes: supplier A, supplier B, and supplier C. Supplier A supplied 100 baskets of tomatoes. Supplier B supplied, let's say, 80 baskets of tomatoes, and supplier C that is 70 baskets of tomatoes. This is their individual supply. This is the individual supply. So the market supply now, the market supply becomes what? The summation of this. The summation of this. When you sum up all of these, it will now be equals to 250 baskets. So this is now the market supply. And as I earlier said, in economics, we are focused with what? The market supply. Okay, now let's take an example. I'll just take an example of a market supply schedule. I'll take an example of the market supply schedule. Let's say the supply of tomatoes, or the supply of let's use a gari in the Libre market for a day. The first, talk about the price of gari. Price of gari in what? In francs CFA. The price of gari in francs CFA. The price of gari in francs CFA. And we'll now move to what? The next will be the market supply of gari. The market supply of gari. The prices, it ranges from 20, you have 30, you have 40, you have 50, and lastly 60. Okay, so these are the respective prices per cup of gari sold in the market. These are the respective prices. Okay, it is assumed that when the price of a cup of gari is 20 francs, 100 cups are being supplied. When it is 30, 125, 40, 150, 50, 175, and lastly 200. Now, if you look at our table carefully, please look at the table carefully, you will see that when the price is increasing, what happens? The quantity supplied is also increasing. The quantity supplied is also increasing. This now brings us to the second law of demand and supply. The second law of demand and supply. Now the second law. What does the second law state? The second law states that everything being equal, more of a good is supplied at a higher price, than at a lower price. Everything being equal, more is being supplied at higher price than lower price. This one is practical here. When the price is just 20 francs, you see that just 100 cups are being supplied. But when the price increases to 60 francs per cup, you see that up to 200 cups are being supplied in the market. And this can be drawn now in a curve. This can be drawn now in a curve, and when it is being drawn in a curve, it changes its name to what? The supply curve. The supply curve, which we are going to see below. The supply curve. Okay, now look carefully. Let us draw our curve. Let's draw our curve. Okay, this is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis, that is the price axis, unlike that of demand too. And this is the quantity supplied axis. Okay, our origin. The price range from 20. So let's assume this to be 1, that's 20. 30, 40, 50, and 60. 2, 3. Okay, let's do our labeling. This is 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. This is 100, 125, 150, 175, 200. Please, let me scroll back up. What I'm doing is I'm representing this table now in a curve, which I said it is now called the supply curve. Now, when the price of the good, the good is 20 francs per cup, how many cups are being supplied? That's what we should know. 100 cups are being supplied. Okay, follow me carefully. 100 cups are being supplied. 100. Follow carefully. 100 cups are being supplied. So somewhere here. Now 30, 125. Somewhere here. 40, 150. Please follow as I'm doing my labeling. It's very important. Somewhere here. 50, 175. Somewhere here. 60. Somewhere here. Okay, now from there, now what do? We link our curve. This is our supply curve now. It's not a straight line, please. It's a curve. Supply curve. Now, if you look carefully, you see that the supply curve slopes upward from left to right, unlike the demand curve that slopes downward. Supply curve slopes upward from left to right. Now, back to our table. You see that when price increases, quantity demanded supplied also increases. It shows that price and quantity supplied have what? A direct price and quantity supplied have a direct relationship. Price and quantity supply have a direct relationship.